I really need a table in here. But until then, we are on the floor. So a while ago, I got my axolotl sent over by Amber's Axolotls, and almost all the supplies for the enclosure was sent over by Aquarium Co-Op. Now, right after doing the axolotl video, I was gonna do a video on the setup. I don't know how to care for live plants, and basically, most of the stuff that isn't live is fine, like the really nice light they sent over, along with just the other stuff which we can go over. But until then, I went ahead and ordered some more plants, did a bit more research. I just bought these myself because, like, it's my fault that I killed the others. Smells weird. But basically today, we will unbox whatever's in here. I got a couple more plants for the axolotl and something for Franklin, the turtle. This box is a bit wet. This was a good sign because they're aquatic plants, so. Here's our extremely wet invoice. Oh boy, here we are. I'll get to this plant in a second. I'll also get to this in a second. You might be able to guess what it is. And then this one is the one that I'm most excited about. So I think one of the issues with the plants that I selected is they really shouldn't be planted in sand. They're better for gravel, which usually use gravel with fish, but axolotls, you don't want to use that. You want to use sand or just a non-loose substrate like Repticarpet or whatever. So I went with sand with her, which by the way, it's a her now. Well, I guess it always was, but couldn't tell before. Planting them in sand was part of the issue. So the one that I got here, it's gonna drip everywhere, but it's fine, whatever. So the nice thing about this one is it's pre-planted in the wood. Wow, this actually looks really cool. Wow, that's really neat actually. So this is pre-planted in wood. It was a bit pricier, I think this was like $35, but I think it's worth it because one, the wood really just adds a whole nother feature, but two, they did the hard work for you. You don't have to plant it yourself. It's already all good to go, assuming that the lighting and the water temperature and everything else is fine. But this is Java Fern, which is right in this piece of wood. I don't know what kind of wood it is, but who cares? Wow, I feel like I'm outside. Amazing. So again, Aquarium Co-op didn't ask me to say anything, but something I really appreciate is on their site, they have really nice breakdowns as to what you can actually select plants by. And I selected by easy to care for, which is much appreciated. They have a little breakdown of each individual plant. As to basically what they need and how easy it is and what kind of lighting. You can also sort the plants by how much light they need. It's just really convenient, stuff that I've never seen plant sites do, but I guess I don't look at plant sites super often, so maybe others do it. There's been opposing opinions as to whether you should leave this moss around the plant. Originally I was told that you should take that moss off, but some people said to leave it on, so I'm still not sure about that. You can yell at each other in the comments as to whether I should take that moss off or not. And finally, this little packet of duckweed. Now I thought I'd go ahead and give you some overall general updates as to how it's been my first time keeping an aquatic amphibian, how it's gone, how it's grown, how the enclosures changed, how the axolotls changed, and how your different tips helped me out over the past few weeks, or maybe a few months by now? I don't know, it's been a little while. First of all, the axolotl kind of just exploded in size. It started out quite small. I really didn't realize how much it had grown until I went back and watched the video where I unboxed it. It was already big enough to where I could start feeding it night crawlers when I got it. So that's what she's been on since then. She's enjoyed them, taken them with no issue. She's a lot more aware than I expected to. This is gonna sound really ignorant if I say something wrong about fish. Usually when I think of fish, I don't think of an animal that's super aware of its surroundings or really what's going on. This could very easily be wrong. I feel like it probably is. But when I expected to get the axolotl, I thought it would just kind of be oblivious to the outside world and ignore me. It just sees food drop down and it grabs it. But it really seems to know maybe a bit of what's going on. If I go up to the enclosure, it'll follow me around, and if I have food, she'll be ready. She'll come up to the top of the water and patiently wait for it. So yeah, there's just more consciousness than I expected. Not that I expected them to be dumb or anything, but I did. But like I said, we already talked about the plants a lot. I've also noticed that algae has been growing quite a bit. This kind of annoys me. I don't think there's any danger to it. It's pretty natural overall with most animals. But I do have to wipe it off the glass every so often, so I don't know, maybe something isn't perfect in there. It does look pretty cool though because it is growing on the hides, so that just looks kind of cool. They get kind of fuzzy and like colorful, so I don't mind that as long as it's not harming the axolotl at all. And then the filter, I hate Aqueon filters. Equion? I don't know. I got the first one, which is the one that I unboxed in the original video. I set it up, it was working, and like 1 grain of sand got in it and it just stopped working. I tried to flush it out and everything, it just completely broke. Luckily that was within the Amazon return period, so I returned it, got another. Same thing happened, I scrubbed it really hard and I got it working again. And then something else happened where like the water level got a little too low and it made this horribly loud screeching sound. It was terrifying. I really don't like those filters. It stopped working so many times. I don't know if there's any better ones available. It's like at least once every couple weeks something happens where I have to take it out and clean it or something. And it's also kind of annoying because you want to keep that like healthy bacteria and everything on the filter, so that's annoying. But something else a lot of you mentioned is to make sure that the flow of the filter isn't too strong so that it doesn't stress the axolotl out. So what I've done is I put another filter, just one of my clean turtle filters, and I zip tied it onto the filter, so now there's a very steady flow where you can't even tell that it's coming out, but there's still enough flow to where it can cycle through, but it's not like splashing down and everything, so that's worked well. Temperatures have been one of the hardest things, actually. Having an animal that wants water that's in like the 60-degree range in the same room as animals that need 90 to 100 to 140 degrees if you like are looking at the Savannah monitor, it's very hard to balance all that out because that room is definitely warmer. I considered bringing the axolotl into this room, like maybe it could be the little like office pet or studio pet or something since it is cooler in here. I was doing the frozen water bottles. They were just a pain though. I was using like little tiny deer parks. I would switch 2 out at a time, multiple times a day and refreeze them. Though it worked somewhat well, but I wanted to kind of avoid investing in a full-on cooler just because 1, they are a little bit pricier, and 2, it is just kind of clunky and big. So I got some aquarium fans as some of you suggested, and those have been working pretty well. It got it down about 6 degrees. So I am comfortable using that now. Next thing, lighting. Aquarium Co-op sent that super cool light, which I really like. Some of you mentioned that it might be too bright for the axolotl, and it still comes out when the light is on, like it'll happily eat and stuff. And it does have lots of hiding places with those big hides. Well, one big hide, it kind of did outgrow the other hide already. So she can definitely get out of the light. But when I do turn the light off, she is out more. So I moved the light up. It's now attached to the top of the rack, so it's less direct, and it seemed to have a difference with it. I would like to keep that light on, mostly because it helps the plants out. Also for just some cosmetic purposes for me. I'm not super concerned about it right now though. If it is clearly bothered by it and doesn't come out with the light on, then I could just turn that off or give it to another animal. But so far, so good with that. And then water testing, I didn't mention it in the original video, but I have a water testing kit that I've been using pretty frequently, and surprisingly, it's been just about exact. When I very first tested it, it was like, I can't remember exactly. There was like a lot of ammonia or something, but I realized I got kind of into a nice groove and pattern with the water changes. I change about like 15% of the water like every other day or so, and that's been working quite well. There was one point a couple weeks ago where I'm not sure how it happened. There might have been like a worm that I didn't notice that she didn't eat or something, but something gross got in there and it caused worms to just like develop everywhere. Based on all the research I did, they're completely harmless, but they were super gross and they just like gave me the chills when I saw them. So I had to flush a bunch of tiny worm things out. I can't remember what they're called, but I got that under control. I cleaned it out pretty well, made sure the sand was thoroughly like not filled with stuff. So that was a bit of a learning curve, but now the water's good. The temperature could be better, but it's pretty good. The axolotl seems to be doing good to me. And the plants are, we'll see how they go. I think that's it though. If you want more pictures and videos, this is only my second axolotl video, and I've only posted a couple pictures on Instagram, but you can follow it, go_herping over there. And there we go. Are you interested in more axolotl content or amphibious content? I have very few amphibians, which I still have to update you on a couple new things that you haven't really seen. I know the background is still quite boring. We're working on it. It's different every time. It'll look better soon. Thanks for watching. That's it.